Story. You know, the Nigerian genocide of Christians narrative was triggered when opposition politicians in America claimed that believers in our country, Nigeria, we targeted, even the employed is so-called genocide to describe the attack. You know, the pronunciations of the claim have been dismissed. No, I've dismissed the narrative. The senior advisor of the U.S. President on Arab and African Affairs, Massad Boulos, has publicly dismissed these explosive claims of religious persecution and targeted genocide against Christians in Nigeria. In a chat with President Tinubu in Rome, Massad emphasized that terrorism in Nigeria affects individuals of all faiths and ethnicities indiscriminately. For the U.S. advisor, these allegations are misguided and inconsistent with the reality that terrorism doesn't discriminate based on religion. It is no longer news, you know.
I'm happy that, you see, this issue, you know, it raises a lot of questions. The first one is, what quantum of information is available to Senator Ted Cruz for him to come out with that position? What is the work of he's a member of the Committee on Commerce, Ted Cruz, that made that statement.
He's also a Republican.
He's also a Republican. He's a member of the Foreign Committee, the Committee on Foreign Relations. What is the relationship between the Nigerian National Assembly, Committee on Foreign Relations, and the U.S. Congress? What is the relationship between the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister, you know, and the U.S. Congress? So is there a continuum of networking and relationship in order to be able to feed the international community about what is going on in Nigeria? If you look at global community, you see that almost every month, you see the people in charge of information briefing, you know, the audience about what is going on in Nigeria. I know that even up to now, we don't have an ambassador in the U.S.
We don't.
So that vacuum is what we are seeing now. You know, because Ogabayo Onanuga is the spokesperson for the president. It's not the spokesperson for Nigeria. So he can only speak on activities of the president. There should be, you know, the Minister of Information who is supposed to be doing local international briefing. So there is a communication gap. I don't think Ted Cruz was deliberate. He was acting on the information available to him. So we are part of that problem. And let me also add that there are a lot of Nigerians occupying strategic posts in the U.S. There are people that are very close to the Republicans. What is the network of relationship between the Nigerian government and such individuals in the U.S.? Because it's just not true that, you know, Christians have been, you know, are the targets. Well, the extremists, you know, the ideology that, okay, they want a theocratic state, that might give a slight impression that they don't want Christianity. That is factual. But in terms of what they do, there was a mosque that was, you know, attacked in Kano. This assailant, a Muslim person, put petrol around and then set it ablaze. So many people were killed. A mosque in Katsina was attacked. About 27 people were killed. A mosque in Sokoto was attacked by fellow, you know, these extremists who claim to be Muslim, but who are not Muslim.
The Sunnis.
The Sunnis. So a lot of Muslim, in fact, a lot of Muslim people have moved from Borno State. Look at General, I think Chuab, you know, a Chuab Arab person who was killed, you know, in his private home. One of the war, you know, civil war heroes who was killed, you know, so he's a Muslim. You know, so there have been so many, even the relation of the former president was kidnapped in Daura. Those who kidnapped Muslims, the person kidnapped a Muslim person. So it's just not true, you know. Terrorism is blind to religion. They killed, you know, look at the internal crisis between Boko Haram, dividing themselves into factions. And they were attacking each other, which led to the death of Shekarau. Both groups claims to be Muslim.
Wale, we cannot fail to talk about 9/11. When the planes hit the Twin Towers, it didn't ask how many Christians or Muslims
were there. So
people were killed.
So it's a wrong information. But I also think, you know, we are also responsible for some of this, you know, miscommunication at the local and international level.
Mayor, but mine is the medium of information is key here, because not to bring that the writing press, in the print media, the advantage is that of permanence. If you pick a paper that was published in 1960,
you'll see that it's permanent.
Electronic media of radio and TV, the advantage is immediacy. Remember what happened in Rwanda
Yes, please.
One intemperate broadcaster went on air and was speaking jargon. And in 100 days, close to 1 million people were killed. So Ted Cruz went on TV. And
yes, why I'm happy that Boulos, Special Advisor Boulos, said what they said. One is somebody that has lived in Nigeria for a long time.
Okay.
Is more or less, he understands the terrain. His family has been in Nigeria for a long time.
I remember
and it's a special, yes, they're the one doing the motorcycle and all that. And
it reminds me of Chalaram.
Yeah, and it's a special advisor to President
on African and Arab matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is a top voice within the government that can advise the way things are. Like when we discussed it the first time, I explained that what Senator Ted Cruz was saying was absolute nonsense. And it is because Ted Cruz belongs to the MAGA group now. They call them the MAGA group now. They used to call them, they used to call them members of the Tea Party within the Republican Party, who are evangelicals. So they play a lot of emphasis on religion, and they look at politics in America from that prism. So if they've seen reports of maybe some Christians, especially in Plateau, that died, you understand?
Yeah.
And Benue. So they cannot come up with this idea that, oh, Christians are being killed in Nigeria.
Targeted.
But it's a fallacy, because what we have is not genocide, it's terrorism. And the terrorists,
the employment and the
terrorists, yes, and the terrorists do not differentiate whether you are a Christian or you are a Muslim. That is the fact on ground.
Or non-conformist.
Yes, that is the fact on ground. So they do not have enough. They do not have enough information to come to the conclusion that arrived that there's genocide in Nigeria. There's no genocide in Nigeria. That's why I'm happy that Boulos, who is a top person in American government, has been able to say no, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Because these crazy people that are killing people all over the place. Do you think
President Trump will be persuaded?
Of course, because like I said, the guy is an advisor. He's a member of government. He's an advisor. He's an official advisor to the president. You understand? So the president will listen to Boulos more than Ted Cruz.
Okay, just
because he's an advisor on African and Middle East affairs. Okay,
we are going now. Okay, yeah. Boulos has removed we have seen removed the wheat, or separated the wheat from the chaff. So we are better able to see.
Yes, but in terms of institutional impact, the president met him in Rome, and then he spoke. In terms of institutional impact, the Senate is very key, is important for the Nigerian...
It has set up an ad hoc committee.
Yes.
The plan is to travel to
meet the U.S. Congress, and also because the U.S. Congress...
and disabuse their minds.
And disabuse the mind of this world. It's not... what we have in Nigeria is not terrorism targeting Christians. Terrorism targeting all of us.
Yeah.
So the Nigerian government needs to increase the tempo of its internal and external communication.
And then the presidents also should do something about these ambassadors that are not, because part of the problem, when you have ambassadors, that's the missing. When you have ambassadors that are supposed to protect your interests, to propagate things that you are doing. For example, if we had an ambassador on ground, he will have complained immediately to Ted Cruz, to Senator Ted Cruz, that, oh, this is not true, and will have adduced reasons why it is not true. But we don't have somebody like that. So anything we are doing it from here, which takes some time for it to be believed.
May I sound off here? Okay. Is it possible that we are dealing with fifth columnists within enemies of the state? Fanning these things. Don't you think?
No, not really. It's part of it is that there are some people, there are some political players, for example, that plays on the religious card and the ethnic card. It's not that they intentionally want to paint our country in a bad light. They wanted to, they played those religious cards to favor themselves. But the problem is that when there is information in the public space, it gets to people like Ted Cruz, whatever he's saying, picked it from reports that is in the public space. And when you
that is not countered.
Because they've seen that maybe there have been some attacks in some places, especially Plateau and Benue, and then they just ignorantly deduce the fact that, oh, Christians are being killed.
Yeah.
Which is not the truth. Christians were killed, to the extent, but Muslims has also been killed severally.
To the extent that we have a so-called genocide going on in my country.
Which is a ridiculous word to use.
And not to rule out what you have said, some people wrote petitions to the Congress.
Okay.
Yes, alleging genocide against Christians in Nigeria. And that is why...
Nigerians?
Yes, Nigerians. And that is why, you know, they get a deluge of petitions, you know, from all sorts of characters.
So what do they want?
So that is why it is important for the Nigerian government to seize the narrative, you know, to engage the international community. I expected the Nigerian government to have invited the U.S. ambassador here.
Yeah.
The week of that incident.
Yes.
And then for briefing. You know, somebody here should have set a committee, and then you go to the U.S. Congress to make your case.
Is it not instructive to mention here that at the Senate, a motion was raised by Senator Brume, Borno State, and seconded by Muslims as well at the Senate?
Yeah, that's instructive.
Yeah.
To let us know that, because the international community is the information that they have, that they will work on to sweeten their sentiments, just like you have said. So
that's why I said I hope President Trump will be persuaded. Okay then. Now let's go to our next story.